Okay, so it's a Monday, the 12th of September. Hello, everyone, and welcome to your Frontier Opening Bell. Let's get the new week started here on Frontier Africa Report. A bit of a mixed Friday, and of course, the start of the week on Sunday for the Egyptian market, which was better by roughly 0.89%. The Nigerian market finished about 0.1% in the green on Friday. The PRVM went in a different direction by almost the same margin as the market in Lagos, 203.57. The Nairobi stock market fell very sharply Friday, 1.4%, 141.6, and the GSE a very roaring 2.15%. In tandem with the rest of the European and other developed markets on Friday after the market got a bit less nervous about the economic data we saw earlier last week. So investors' risk-on appetites rubbed off very nicely on the South African market, which is the biggest exchange on the African continent and the one with very strong correlation with the emerging and developed markets. So that's just a summary of where we're coming from. We're starting a new week today with a whole lot on the outlook on inflation. Nigeria's inflation data will be coming through between Wednesday and Thursday. And of course, we're expecting US CPI data tomorrow, Tuesday, the 13th. So keep your eye on inflation reports throughout this week across a number of markets. In the meantime, the Bank of England decided to delay its monetary policy meeting and announcement until the September the 22nd after the burial of the iconic Queen Elizabeth II, who passed away last week. That now as UK and the Commonwealth go into mourning on the passing of the 96-year-old monarch. So, what's the big story across East Africa? Nairobi County is issuing $1.2 billion. One of the counties issuing $1.2 billion an infrastructure green bond, while Tanzania says it's dismissed claims that it's freezing makes export permits in Kenya. And International Finance Corporation says it's buying about 20 billion shilling stake in Safaricom of Ethiopia. That's the story because Ethiopia opened up its market for telecommunications. Safaricom has boots on the ground as part of that consortium. Now the IFC is putting some money to back up that big deal for Safaricom straight out of Kenya into the Horn of Africa. And a deep water Somali port giving landlocked Ethiopia a new trade route. And that is the whole issue about the new corridor of the Horn of Africa all the way down to East Africa in terms of the ports that are now competing with Mombasa, the number one and the leading seaport east of the continent. Let's come to West Africa, where the Nigerian inflation data will be up this week. In the meantime, President Buhari has inaugurated a new committee on economy just less than a year to the end of his administration. The new economic committee comprises of all critical head of agencies, including the Central Bank, the Ministry of Finance, and others, the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, to come together to find a new direction for the economy that is flagging and less attractive to both domestic and foreign capital. That's the latest in part of re-engineering the economy of 200 million people, the largest on the continent. And the U.S. Consular General Will Stevens met with the big boys within the fintech space in Nigeria, in banking, folks within the cybersecurity, and he told them that Nigeria is doing well in terms of digital technology and fintech, but these professionals need to ensure that the financial system remains safe and stable, not at the expense of technology. And ECB's 0.75% interest rate hike last Thursday will have consequences for the CFA franc within the Central African Republic and the West Africa countries, which has a single currency of the CFA franc. About 13 countries in West Africa, or 11 countries use about the CFA franc, another 10 or 11 within the Central Africa. So that's all between the BCIO and BEAC under pressure right now. CFA franc is under a pressure as we saw the euro losing some of its shares to the US dollar. And Oral Bank of Guinea says it has launched a new WhatsApp system for those who want to do banking business with the commercial lender. And Europe is the optimal destination or customer for gas coming out of Senegal, and that's according to the president, Macky Sall, His Excellency, while speaking at last week's conference organized by Energy Capital and Power, the MSGBC 2022 Oil and Gas Conference. Senegal, the far end of West Africa, is positioning itself as a destination to support Europe in its quest for gas on the back of the impact of the Russia's aggression military war currently going on in Ukraine. Let's stop and check in with the Southern Africa space. Angola moved to Nigeria out of the way in the month of August as Africa's largest oil-producing and exporter. Nigeria did a little bit less than 1 million barrels per day in the month of August. Very bad news for Africa's frontliner when it comes to hydrocarbon. Angola is remaining a little bit steady with about 1.13 million barrels per day. ESCOM in South Africa says it's restarting the sale process for that $500 million home loan book. The idea is to get a bit more cash on these books, deleverage its own very high level of debt, and put a whole lot more cash into operations and reduce those load shedding in Africa's most advanced economy, that's South Africa. Meantime, South Africa is planning a special police force to combat illegal mining. And that's going to be a very good deal because the miners are complaining of those who are stealing those resources. And Zambia's president, Ichilema, is predicting a 4% medium-term growth for the economy on the back of the current relationship closing up with the IMF in Washington, as well as other creditors, which includes China. South Africa's inflation is too early to call a peak. That's according to the central bank chief, Leseja Kagyango. He says it's too early to say that South Africa's inflation has peaked and it will start to decelerate. He wants to see a bit of a trend and a stability before he could call that a peak. Right now, Kagyango says it's too close to call a peak. You know where I'm going next? That's your North African. The Bank of Cairo, that's Bank Duque, is about 10% in the Western Union branch, IBAD in Egypt. That's part of expanding his portfolio, by the way. Morocco's citrus exports was about 766,500 metric tons for the 2021-2022 season for that particular agro product. And Egypt's EFDB country strategy paper was launched at last week's Egypt ICF conference. The International Cooperation Forum focused on a number of issues for this very biggest economy north of the continent. And the country strategy paper by the EFDB, the African Development Bank, was launched during that event. You can read up on that details of what that is in that paper. And Egypt's inflation went up to 15.3% in the month of August, part of early numbers reported. Urban index tops about 14.6%. That should give some concerns to the administration of President Al-Sisi. And that's wrapping it up this Monday morning. Get your week well started. With all of us here, we say, wish you a very profitable trading week ahead. I am Bosun Amofaya. I'll see you next time.